So my name is Divyanshu Ratti and I'm from Amritsar, Punjab. I did my graduation BCom Honours from Shri Guru Gobind Singh College of Commerce, Delhi University. Post which I started working in Deloitte USI as an audit and assurance assistant where I worked for 10 months. After that, I came to XIMB to do my MBA. Here in XIMB, I am culture representative of my section along with other PORs. I did my summer internship in Crisil Limited in Infrastructure Advisory Division. For my final placements, I am placed in SDA Capital Markets in Government Advisory Division. So in Crisil, I was working in Infrastructure Advisory Division. Now there are 4 parts to Infra Advisory and I was part of Infrastructure and Public Finance. My internship was remote, so I was work from home. However, since my hometown is Amritsar, the project luckily which I got was also based on Amritsar Municipal Corporation. So what happens in Crisil is for their consulting projects, they have clients. So my client was World Bank, which wanted to do a study on Amritsar and Ludhiana Municipal Corporation. And since I was from Amritsar, so it came handy like that. My day in the internship would look like that for some 10 to 12 times I had to visit to Amritsar Municipal Corporation for various meetings, for primary data, for analysis of those particular corporations, for walkthrough of the processes and all. So I had to visit to corporation office. Other days were spent at home writing the reports, collecting the data, streamlining all the information which I have gotten, attending the meeting with my teammates, making the final submissions and all of that. So this was how my internship looked like. I would say whatever I have learned in classroom was helpful. I did my graduation BCom, so I won't say that learning finance here was something which helped me there. However, a financial statement analysis, which is one of the core courses which is given in the first years, that was handy because there were financials involved of the corporation and we had to analyze where the numbers are going and all of that stuff. Other than that, there was a part of operations which also was involved in the internship and communication, of course, because they were government officials and we had to negotiate a lot and all of those things. Soft skills were there throughout, as in how do we communicate, how do we put our point across, use of critical thinking, because there were a lot of processes which we had to go through and find out the gaps between them and make the recommendations. So all of that came handy. I would also like to point out how in our curriculum we are made to make submissions like long reports. So long writing, which we used to do in college, also came handy and acted as a muscle memory when I was doing my internship at Crisil. So I worked in Deloitte USI for 10 months as an audit and assurance assistant, and I was working at the staff level, which involved analyzing the financials and doing audit per se. In this internship also, since the project was related to the municipal corporation, we had to go to the numbers, go through the financials and make our observations accordingly, find out the gaps and make the recommendations that way where the numbers were concerned. So the movement of numbers from various cost heads to revenue heads and all of those things, that came handy because I had a work-ex in the similar field. So this is how my work-ex specifically helped me during the internship. So I won't say that there were some indicators which they told us before the internship, but in the 2 months time I realized that they expected me to be on my feet. They wanted me to actually be sincere with my work, be out there, because it also involved on-field deliverables. Like I had to go to the corporation office, so they actually expected me to be out there, wanted me to be good at communication skills. They wanted to see how much would I negotiate with the officials, and because there is an information which we have to extract from them, so that aspect was there. And finally, they expect us to be more good at critical thinking, analyze things effectively, so that we are able to make the recommendation which finally go into the report. I would say it's important to read and read a lot. Because during a final placement, every question which they ask, they want to know the depth of your answers. They want to see how far can you go with the answer and how can you justify that. So I think reading is helpful like that. You have to be aware of the sector you are going to or the company you are applying for. As per the SAP specifically, I would say that so while we are working in SAP, we might have left some gaps in our SAP itself. But in the final interviews, when they are asking the questions related to SAP, we should know about those gaps also and how we could have resolved those gaps. So I think this is something which comes handy when we have to prepare or kind of upskill ourselves for the final placements. I would say that the 2 months of SAP are a good vacation from MBA person, but it's up to the interns if they want to make that a vacation or a learning opportunity, and I would prefer the latter. You have to, so in some internships, you do not really get work. You have to ask for work constantly, so you have to be out there on your feet, because if you are not getting the work, you will not have a justifiable internship per se. So you have to be proactive, you have to ask for work, ask questions again and again if you are not understanding things. And finally, every SIP does not lead to a PPO. So I would say that do not work for PPO, but work for the learning opportunities that are going to be there. It's definitely going to help you in your second year, in your final placements, in life in general.
My name is Sarthak Batra, and I have done my BTech in Computer Science from Internship University. I passed out in 2015. After that, I have worked for around 5.5 years with Futures First Info Services. So my work is mostly in finance. And after that, I joined my MBA and got to intern with Aditya Birla Capital in the mutual fund division. So my role was relating to understanding the dynamics behind the rise of SaaS sector in India. So in India, the IT has been dominated by services from 1990s to 2010. It was dominated by services like the rise of TCS, Infosys, and other companies. From 2010 and thereon, it is being dominated by the self-product companies such as Zoho, Freshworks, and other. So as a mutual fund, we wanted to understand the new companies that are coming up and how can we invest in them and create alpha for investors. So I reached office around 9:15 in the morning, and then I met with my colleagues and other interns, and after that I had a meet with my mentor. He's managing the Digital India Fund with ABCL AMC. So after that I went to lunch downstairs in the cafeteria. So the quantum that you learn in those 8 weeks is more than what you learn in 1 year of your MBA. So the first thing that I learned was working in teams. So we all have been working on group projects in MBA. So but in a corporate setting, it's completely different. People are results oriented, and the collaboration is much more smoother. So working in teams and collaboration is one skill that I learned, and the other skill was ability to unlearn. So we learn a lot of things in our theory, like which may not be applicable to business then. So you need to quickly unlearn those things, and then you have to find new solutions for the business problem that you are facing. So these are the 2 skills that I learned during my internship. Writing would have come in handy. So I had some experience with Excel and modeling also, but if I had spent some more time creating more valuations model, that would have come in handy. And also creative writing. So a lot of writing that we do here is not up to the mark. So in corporate, the communication needs to be crisp. So that's why you need to learn how to write properly and convey your ideas to your audience. So these are the 2 skills that I wished I would have learned. So I have a comparatively higher work experience than most people in this MBA, and my role was also suited to that. So I had experience in trading the international markets, and also I have been investing for the last 10 years. So that did help in my internship. Like it was a bit easier for me to create valuation models and understand the markets. So for a fresher, the learning curve might be a bit steeper, but he can also do that. So for me, it was a bit easy, but I think anyone can do that. So we constantly had reviews with our mentors. So there was weekly reviews and fortnightly, and final review also. So we were judged on the basis of how we were taking charge of the project. Like if we are stuck anywhere, are we reaching out to help, or are we just waiting for them to come to us and tell us something? So if we taking our charge of the project, so then that was a plus point for us. And other, they were looking for collaboration. So in office everything is a teamwork. So if you are collaborative and you are working well with others, you are learning from others. So these are the skills that they were looking for, and passion and integrity towards the work that you are doing always is good. So I was fortunate enough to get a PPO from ABCL. So, but if anyone has to upskill after SITs before final placements, I would suggest them to focus on basics of the business. So if any company would want to know if the candidate knows about how business is being done there, so that's the first thing. And second things are your Excel and PPT skills should be on point, because a lot of communication in corporate happens through PPTs, and that PPT, the data has to back by an Excel file. So these are two important skills that I think you should have. So I learned how to create research reports and valuation models. So I created research report on SaaS sector in India, like I told, that was my project. And I also created valuation models for Freshworks and RateGain Travel Technologies. So RateGain is a travel SaaS company, so which provides software to hotels and other travel agencies. So the valuation that I gave to RateGain then was higher than what it was trading at that time. So the company actually took my recommendation and they increased their stake in RateGain in the Digital India Fund. So that had benefited them. So the stock is up around 30% in the last 1 year, I guess. Also, the other important learning that I had, we had management meets there. So once Zomato CFO came and all the fund managers were asking questions to him. So I just sat there and took notes, and it was a different and good experience to learn from the management, like how Zomato is being run. Like we all have been using Zomato and we are like, they're losing so much money, how would they grow? To learn all of this from their CFO, so it was a very new experience for me and I learned a lot from it. So my advice would be to work hard, learn a lot, keep improving, take constant feedback from your mentor and implement that feedback. Be agile, always keep learning, and if you love the company, then always push for a PPO. They want people who are proactive enough to ask for a PPO. So that would be my advice.
So, hello everyone, I am Arannya. To give you a brief introduction about myself, I am an economics graduate from St. Xavier's, Kolkata, post which I joined ICICI Bank. I primarily worked in wealth management. After that, I decided to pursue my MBA, which landed me here at XIM. I'm really excited to share with you what I did during my SIP in Goldman Sachs. Okay, so during my SIP, I worked as a summer analyst in the market surveillance group, which comes under global compliance. I cannot get into the details of what my projects were due to confidentiality reasons. However, I can tell you what market surveillance group does. So, market surveillance group basically comes under financial crime compliance, which works to mitigate the risks associated with various kinds of financial crime. And market surveillance group specifically does a lot of work with respect to insider trading investigation. Coming to my daily routine, so working hours were 11 to 9. I would come as early as 10, have my breakfast in the office itself, head towards my desk. Travel was given by the company itself. Uh, I would attend all the team meetings, try to understand various aspects of what my team did and how they did it, which actually made me learn a lot. I would always reach out to people to improve my projects in any way that was possible. Frankly speaking, those 10 hours of work never felt like 10 hours because I used to enjoy each and every aspect of it. Okay, so so the amount of knowledge you gain while transitioning from in-class experience to on-field experience is quite immense. So one can learn all the aspects of bookish knowledge and still may not be able to apply them in real life. That is where these SIP experiences come in handy. Now, as a person, I was well versed with various financial products and and how the financial markets worked. However, I had the perspective of an investor. What actually happens on the other side is a completely different story. When you place a trade through your broker, what actually happens on the other side of the trade, how it is actually executed, where the institutions come in, those pictures become quite clear to you when you are working in the global compliance team. Now, I was quite fortunate to have that experience and really enjoyed that. Okay, so frankly speaking, compliance is not taught as a subject anywhere and it's not possible to learn courses tailored to it. However, what Goldman did was they provided us with a lot of resources which would give us insights into their business as well as help us to brush up our knowledge of different financial products and markets. Now, when you are working in the market surveillance group specifically, it really helps if you know how the markets work. You don't have to know how to value a mergers and acquisition deal. However, it helps to know that one trader might take a risk arbitrage strategy after the announcement of a merger. So my suggestion would be just brush up your basics. Okay, so as someone who had worked before in the corporate setting, I was quite comfortable with working in a corporate environment again. However, what I experienced in GS was that the GS culture is completely different. It has a really flat hierarchy. Talking specifically about me, two vice presidents were sitting in front of me, two vice presidents were sitting behind me. So I would just be able to go up to them at any point of time whenever I was facing any kind of issue and take their help. So it was a completely different experience for me. Other than that, GS has a culture of making its intern meet the senior executives and learn various aspects of their business. I used to love these interactions, but I feel that since I had worked before in a corporate settings, I could take much more from these interactions. However, I would also say that one should not really be worried about being a fresher or someone being from the corporate setting because GS will take care of that gap and make you learn a lot irrespective of your background. Okay, so I'm not too sure about how to answer this question, but I'll just tell you what my manager told me he liked about me. So he told me that I was hardworking, I was always punctual, and I was open to suggestions. I believe that you really need to learn these things first to excel during your SIP. So I completed both my projects during the first month itself, and the second month was mostly about trying to reach out to people, take their feedbacks, and improve those projects. So I reached out to people in my team in the Bangalore office, people in the Warsaw office, people in the Salt Lake City office, and tried to incorporate all those feedbacks into my projects. So at the end of those 8 weeks, what came out was completely different and way better than my first output. So I would just say just reach out to people and try to incorporate feedbacks into your work. Okay, so I'll talk about it purely from a finance perspective. So, from what I have heard and what I have experienced is that most of the finance interviews will be based on your learnings of valuation as well as fixed income. So, I would suggest before your final placements, try to do some courses on valuation, fixed income, credit analysis, etc. Because your final placements may start early and your electives might not be over by then, so it's always preferred that you learn these topics by yourself and be ready when the final placements start. Okay, so apart from doing the projects diligently, I would suggest to make meaningful connections in the company you're working for. Don't just talk to people in your team, but try to talk to people from other teams as well. Try to understand various aspects of the business. This will make you learn and grow a lot. Other than that, I would say just try to maintain basic work ethics. Don't take unnecessary stress, and most importantly, try to have fun in those 8 weeks.